Did Xbox just hit reset, or will everything stay the same with this leadership change? Let's talk about it. So it's breaking news, and for those who haven't heard, yesterday it was announced that Phil Spencer, which the man that has been the face of Xbox for over a decade, is retiring abruptly, might I add. Phil has been the face and been at Microsoft for over 40 years, if I'm understanding. And out of nowhere, before the 25th anniversary of Xbox, the man that's been the face of Xbox out there in the front, taking the brunt, doing interviews, all this stuff, is retiring effectively on Monday. And his heir apparent, who we all thought was supposed to take over and be the next Phil, as you say, and who's been doing a lot of work, Sarah Bond, has resigned. So they've also put in a new place of CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and we'll talk about that. But just on this point, I just want to bring up some things. So as somebody who still, loves Xbox, loves the brand and everything like that, and still plays. Now, don't get me wrong, I play everywhere. I love PlayStation and all that stuff as well, and Nintendo. Yeah, but I've been an Xbox fan since day one, and to see this, I went through the generation, the original Xbox 360, the terrible Xbox One generation where all the stuff was going on. Phil came in and kind of tried to put the train back on the track, as you say. If you look at what Phil did, because I don't think, had Phil not stepped up or stepped in and tried to make the changes he did, I don't know if Xbox would still be here. And so I thank Phil for that. I do thank Phil for that. But being the fact that he's gone, like I said, abruptly. Now, for those that didn't know, Xbox, Phil was going to retire. We already, knew Phil was retiring this year, but it just abrupt because, like I said, it's before the 25th anniversary and it's effective Monday. And a few people talked about how they saw Phil at the DICE Awards, last week, and everything. He was talking, everything was fine, but now all of a sudden you're gone. So that, brings up some questions. However, Sarah Bond is the real point. And shout out to my guy, Clarkson Rex, over at Chilling in the Party. He pointed out when on our discussion we had last night, go check him, go follow him, subscribe if you can. If you haven't already, go check out that content, man. But he brought up a good point where, so Sarah Bond resigned. Like I said, we all thought Sarah Bond was going to take over for Phil. Now, one or two things happened. First thing, Clark brought this up. He pointed it out to me that maybe once they decided that, Phil was going to leave, they ended up giving it to Asha, which is the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Asha Sharma. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But instead of giving it to Sarah, they gave it to Asha. And maybe she was like, you know what? I'm out, because she got passed over. And anybody that's been around, watched Xbox, seen what Xbox is doing, all the stuff they've been doing, like, it's just the leaders there. We all thought Sarah was going to take over and be that new person when Phil retired. So I don't know if she got passed up, and that caused her to resign. Or another theory I've been seeing is that, and not to be doom and gloom, but the direction that Xbox is headed, she wasn't with, so she would resign. Before we move on to that next topic about the new CEO and everything, I just have to say, like, it gives me a little pause, because it makes me think something is up, something happened at Xbox to cause them to for Phil to retire and for Sarah to resign like that. So as I stated, Asha Sharma is the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming. And for those who don't know, we're going to pull up, I actually have Asha's LinkedIn resume. So we're going to just take a look, man. So I was able to find Asha Sharma's resume on LinkedIn, or her LinkedIn. She has been at Microsoft as the president of Core AI product since about 2000. since February of 2024. She was the president of Core AI. She's a board member at Home Depot. She was also a board member of Cupping. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. She was the COO of Instacart. So she has some experience. She was in marketing at Xbox in 2011 through 2013. So she has some experience as far as maybe leading and being at the top of things. But my question, she doesn't have any gaming background from what we see. Now, that doesn't mean she doesn't play games and loves games and things like that, but she doesn't have any gaming background from what we saw on that. Now, during the release of the information yesterday, they put out email from Satya Nadella, Phil, Asha Sharma was some of the ones. So we have that here. Satya, like I said, Satya put out a message. We got that. Phil put out a message about him retiring and things like that, about him starting as an intern back in June of 1988, and just all some of the stuff he did. Like I said, we don't have a email or a message from Sarah Bond, which once again is concerning to me. But Asha comes in and she made some nice statements. She did say that she wants to focus on the core Xbox fans and trying to make sure. So she said she has 3 commitments. First is making great games. The return of Xbox, to want to recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, and the future of play. She wants to make sure, and she also stated that she does not want to fill the ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Now, that with you coming from being the president of Core AI, some AI may not be slop to you. So I'm gonna have to wait and see. And I'm not trying to charge anything or give, have any bad feelings about this, because I'm going to hold my judgment to see where she goes or what things happen over the next 1 or 2 years or what have you. So I'm optimistic in some areas, and I want to see more. So also, Matt Booty has been promoted to COO, Chief Content Officer over at Microsoft Gaming. So it's going to be cool. Matt Booty's been there for a while, man. He's been a steady champion in the gaming creators and the studios. He's been working with the studios anyway. So I think this is only right. I figure even if Sarah Bond had been promoted, I think they would have given Matt Booty, or Matt Booty would have been promoted to this position as well. So I think, that was always the plan, to put Matt Booty right there. But these are just pointing out some of the information, some of what we've seen so far, man. But just some of my thoughts real quick before I get out of here is that, once again, I still love Xbox. Still is one of my preferred places to play, because I do have a lot of friends that still play it, and my core friends are on there. But overall, I'm in the middle with this. Once again, they're saying that the direction that Xbox is headed is not really changing. They're still going to be working on the hardware, new hardware, still putting games. So one of the first things I will say is that can help Asha, the games that you guys have planned, make sure they land, make sure they are successful. We've seen where Halo has lost some of its prestige. We've also seen where Gears kind of, is in the middle now. A lot of people are excited for E-Day, but the new Gears trilogy with the new 4 and 5 have been like mixed. We also have seen other games kind of like go by the wayside. State of Decay 3 still kind of in limbo. We want to, I'm a State of Decay fan. I would love for them to put out State of Decay 3. Hopefully we'll see that maybe at the Xbox Summer Showcase. Your last big first party title, which is Fable, make sure that plane lands. Make sure that game is good. It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10. I'm not saying that. But it needs to be good. So I'm hoping the plane for Fable lands and that it's a good game, because I plan on playing it regardless. I'm there day one for Fable. I'm there. I'm buying it. I'm not just playing it on Game Pass. I plan on buying Fable because I love the IP that much. Hopefully Fable lands. and that'll be the start of, like, we got the Xbox showcase, and then and Fable drops hopefully this year. If all that goes good and everything, the train stays on the track with Asha and Matt Booty as being the new leaders, people will kind of temper their concerns, man. But I know some people, regardless of what happens or the first bad thing that happens, they're going to jump. You know what I'm saying? But I'm holding mine. Like I said, I'm holding mine. My full judgment, my optimistic. I do feel like there's some concern because, like I said, with Phil leaving abruptly and Sarah resigning, and we don't see a message from Sarah, that really causes some concern for me. But once again, I'm holding everything until the actual end of all of this. But yeah. But what do you guys feel? How do you feel about everything that's going on, man? I'm gonna start doing more long form content as well. So make sure y'all do me a favor. Make sure y'all like and subscribe if you haven't already, man. Hit the bell icon to be notified when your boy goes live or when I drop a new video, man. So once again, appreciate everybody as always. Y'all be great. I'm out. Peace.